Today's stories are insane. We got a guy who was taking estrogen through his wiener accidentally. A guy too macho to go to the hospital. A teenager who couldn't resist pressing the big red button. And a guy who likes working for free. Like, why? All of these guys fudged up. Their stories are up next. Today I fudged up by having sex with my wife and accidentally absorbing a bunch of her estrogen. My wife has very bad endometriosis, and we've struggled with infertility since we started trying to have kids about 6 years ago. We've been super lucky to have one baby through in vitro fertilization, and we are in the middle of trying for a second that way. This involves a buttload of fertility drugs. One of those drugs is an estrogen supplement she has to take vaginally. Infertility really messed with our sex life, especially at the beginning. The past few years though, we've worked really hard on getting that spark back. Thanks to IVF, sex isn't for baby making anymore. It's for connecting with each other and having a grand old time. So we get it on a few times a week and it's fantastic. Because of our fertility issues, this guy hasn't used a condom in 6 years. I'm usually a pretty happy guy. The past few weeks though, I was in what has to be the worst mood anyone has ever had. I had a raging headache, wanted to cry every 5 minutes, and had so much irrational rage about everything. My wife is obviously concerned and asks what the heck is happening to me. I'm concerned about myself too, and we try to figure out why I was in such a terrible mood. Then we finally realized our fudge up. She has been taking her estrogen supplement before we go upstairs for bed, where we usually have some sexy time a few times a week before going to bed. Since I haven't been wearing a condom, my penis has been basically taking an estrogen bath several times a week, and we think I've been absorbing the estrogen through my penis. I've been wearing a condom, boo, for about a week now, and I'm pretty much back to my normal happy self. On a side note, I have a whole new understanding of the pure heck she goes through just to give us a chance at having another baby. Yo said that. First thing I want to say is congratulations. You just had your first period. You're a woman now. But in all seriousness, you can now kind of relate to how your wife feels through this experience and have a whole new perspective. I'll be rooting for the two of you to have success with your next child. Today I fudged up by almost dying because I'm a big, tough, stupid guy who doesn't need to see a doctor because of some stomach ache. Happened 2 weeks ago, been in the hospital for 6 days and still recovering. It all started on Thursday with a sharp pain in my stomach. At first, I didn't think too much of it. Maybe it was just something I ate. So I ignored it. The next day, my stomach still kinda hurts. However, not bad enough to skip work because of it. I have a pretty high pain tolerance and at this point it was pretty annoying and unpleasant, but I wouldn't say super painful. Whatever. If it doesn't get better by Monday, I'll go see a doctor. I kept telling myself. Then the pain got worse, to a point where I couldn't properly sleep during the night. At first, I considered just waiting a bit more since the pain was still tolerable, and I didn't want to waste my weekend sitting in the hospital for several hours just to be told that it was a stomach ache, but a friend of mine urged me to go. So I went to the hospital, but since I don't have a car, I walked there. It's only 2 miles after all. The pain was getting worse, and once I finally got a chance to see the doctor, it didn't take long for him to realize what was wrong. You probably have already guessed it. It was the appendix. I was told that they have to remove it immediately, and that I'll get sent to the operating room as soon as possible. Well, as it turns out, by the time I finally ignored my pride and went to the hospital, the appendix already ruptured. So instead of having a relatively standard appendicitis, I was now the proud owner of a fully fledged peritonitis and was rushed to the operating room shortly after. I woke up several hours later and despite being under strong painkillers, I was still in extreme pain. And when I say extreme pain, I mean I didn't even know you could feel so much pain. It was that fudging painful. It felt like a chunk of glowing red hot metal was stuck in my stomach. So, operating room again. Apparently the inflammation spread further than anticipated. In addition to that, a 3-inch purulent hematoma formed that was causing the pain. When I woke up, the pain was still there, but it was tolerable again. Doctors told me that was a pretty close call, and that I got lucky, and that if I had stuck with my original plan to wait till Monday, things would have turned out different. It's been almost 2 weeks since the 2 operations, and I still feel super weak. I'm tired all the time. I'm not allowed to lift anything heavier than 10 pounds. Moving around and standing up still hurts pretty bad, and I'm terrified of sneezing. But it's getting better. Definitely learned my lesson, and from now on, I'm not going to ignore any symptoms anymore. Yo said that. I'm glad that it didn't turn out any worse. Hopefully the pain goes away soon too. And for everyone listening, if something feels wrong, it is wrong. Don't be stubborn. Go see a doctor. Go to the ER. Ask your friends or family. Tell them about your symptoms. Just go, because it's better not to wait. Today I fudged up by pressing the big red button. Obligatory not today, as many of these stories are. This was quite a few years ago when I was 16 years old. It was my first day working at a local large bakery/factory. I was shown to a conveyor belt and basically left to my own devices. All I had to do was put 6 Bakewell tarts into the packaging. Simple. Except it was really fast. And after a couple of hours, my arms started to ache. Some of the Bakewell tarts started to fall off the end of the conveyor belt and onto the floor. I tried to hurry up and go faster, but was getting panicky. And before long, there were at least 30 Bakewell tarts on the floor. I noticed there was a big red button on the machine that said push in case of an emergency. Well, this is an emergency, I thought, and pushed the button. 10 minutes later, I'm all caught up and I've picked all the Bakewell tarts up. I'm feeling ready to start again when some bloke starts barging towards me with steam practically coming out of his ears and swearing his head off. "Did you press that fudging button?" he shouted. I said, "Yeah, sorry, it was an emergency," because they were going on the floor. He screamed, "Well, you've just burned 10,000 Bakewell tarts." By pressing that button, it stopped everything and they stayed in the oven too long. Yes, it was my first and last day. Yo said that. They left a 16-year-old without any experience, unsupervised, with a big red button that they didn't tell him what it does, and they expected him not to press it? Come on, son. Don't beat yourself too much about this incident. In fact, you can be seen as a hero in the fight against diabetes. You got 10,000 of those Bakewell tarts burned. Today I fudged up by working for 3 hours before realizing it's a holiday. I work for a big multinational software company. Since everyone is remote, geographical location is only a factor when figuring out time zones. Either people are chatting and working, or they're just working quietly. There's not a lot of indication regarding what's going on in the rest of the team/company other than what we have on Slack or email. So this morning I dragged myself into my office, settle in and start doing my normal daily routines. Half my team is in Europe, half is on the West Coast. I'm East Coast US, so having quiet while I'm doing stuff in the morning is pretty normal. I run a couple tickets, do my daily stand-up, check in, done via Status Hero, and get settled in to do some other projects when my boss, in Ireland, pings me. "Pengster, you do know that you have off today, right?" US holiday, President's Day." "Oh, well, okay then." Everyone got a big laugh out of it, but because my status updates had already gone to our work channel on Slack, everyone knew I screwed up and was blithely working away during a holiday. My boss did a quick video chat and we laughed and he was totally cool with it. I have a great boss, but it was still embarrassing. On the grand scheme of things, not a major F-up, but sheesh. Yeah, that's not that big of a fudge up, but I can see why your boss was cool with it. You worked 3 hours for free. In fact, on that video call, your boss is like, "You can work all of the holidays for free if you want." Also, having off on President's Day, I feel like it's mostly a federal or state job thing. Working privately, I don't think a lot of people are getting time off for President's Day. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to smash that like button, comment on who you thought had the biggest fudge up, And be sure to subscribe. You might win the lottery. You might not, but you might.